Hello, my name is Kirk Borger. I am the director here at the Riverview Public Library. And today we are interviewing Al Nagy. How do you pronounce this? Nagy, who is a long-time Downriver resident. He lived in Lincoln Park for a while. He lived in Trenton, and now he's living at Atria King Haven in Riverview on King Road. Thank you very much for coming in,
Okay.
Al.
You're welcome.
Al, where and when were you born?
I was born in Windsor, Ontario, Canada in 1927, November of 1927.
What were your parents' occupations?
My dad was a tool and die maker, and my mother was a housewife.
Your parents had come over from Hungary, correct?
Right.
What year did they immigrate?
My dad came in 1923 to Canada, and my mother came a couple of years later, and I was born in 27.
Now, could you speak Hungarian?
I used to speak nothing but Hungarian because my mother couldn't speak English. That's what she said.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Anyway,
Do you know why they picked Windsor?
that's where most of the auto plants were, and where the tool and die shops were. Was in Windsor because it was proximity to
Detroit.
Right.
How many siblings do you have?
Just one sister.
Was she older
No,
or
younger.
What high school did you attend?
Assumption High School in Windsor
And what year did you graduate?
at 45.
Now, I know a lot of people who watch this are probably going to be, there's a story behind, you're a Canadian, but you're here to be interviewed about your U.S. military service. So, how did you get from Canada to the United States?
Well,
What happened?
when I finished high school, I wanted to come to a more, well, I should say a bigger school than Assumption College was, because they had high school and a college, and they only had 2 years of college. So I came to U of D, and at the same time I figured, well, since I'm coming over here, I will try to get a job. Well, to get a job, I had to get a green card, and which I did. And of course, I had to register for the draft, and because they still had it going. Which was okay. I finished, got my Bachelor of Science from U of D in 49. I worked for a year to make enough money to go to professional school.
Where did you work?
Fleetwood, Fisher Body, Turnsteads, and back to Fisher Body.
What did you do there?
They put me in the water test. You have to ride the bodies through this tunnel, and the water pours all over the body, and you would mark down wherever it was the body was leaking. So I had a good job there. I worked at Turnsteads. I was polishing the chrome pieces that went on the cars. Stroh's Brewery. A couple of years, summers there, and different jobs.
You were doing these jobs while you were going
To school.
Which school, college or dental school?
To dental, both college.
Both college and dental
and
school.
dental school.
What made you? Okay, first, what did you get your degree in?
Bachelor of Science at the college.
What was your major?
My major was biology and chemistry.
Biology and chemistry. What made you decide to become a dentist?
Well, it seemed like it was a nice profession, so that's what I decided. My last year at undergraduate school at U of D, I decided I wanted to go to dental school. So I applied, but I didn't get in until I graduated from in '49 from the college, and I started dental school in '50, so.
What year did you graduate from dental school?
54.
And you entered the military in 1955.
Okay.
Now, you said that the draft was going on, and even though, despite being a Canadian citizen, you had a green card, and you could still be drafted.
Yes.
You didn't want to be drafted, so you enlisted, correct?
Yes, right.
Now, you enlisted in the Army. Was there any reason why you
No.
enlisted in the Army as opposed to another service?
Oh, I didn't know too much about the Navy or the Air Force, so I figured I'd go in the Army. Well, that was all right. I did all right there.
What do you mean you did all right?
Well, I was comfortable. I was working under a man named Colonel Hammond at Fort Sill, and he, I don't know whether he took a liking to me or I did my work well.
Or both.
And he wanted me to go regular. And I told him, I said, I've never practiced in private practice, so I wouldn't know what it would be like. And I would rather go back to civilian life and practice, and then if I didn't like it, I would rejoin, because or I'd go active, because I was a reservist.
You enlisted in 1955 because of your dental degree. Did they automatically just put you in a?
Yes, you get an automatic commission as second lieutenant. But then I don't remember when I got promotion to first lieutenant, but I did. And then when I was getting out, they promoted me to captain. And I stayed as captain in the reservist until '62.
Did you have any specialized training when you enlisted? I mean, like, okay, I know for other veterans, they have to go to boot camp, and then they have to, then they have specialized training, or whether it be in, combat engineers, or I'm just using that as an example.
When I first went in, I had to go to, my orders told me I had to go to Fort Sam Houston in Texas for field service training, because you didn't know where you were going to go, whether you were going into a MASH unit or whether you were going to Japan or Germany or wherever. And but by the time we were through, we got our permanent orders, and I got stationed at Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which was well, I would say maybe 600 or 700 miles
from Fort Sam Houston.
Yeah.
Now, when you say field service training, what do you mean by that?
Do MASH unit type of work, and you have to. They give you training in the field, like shooting, crawling. Same as the regular Army
recruits. Right.
Recruits, you would have to do all those same things, but it also tells you what you could do, how you would have to work as a dentist.
Then they transfer you to Fort Sill, Oklahoma,
right,
which is in southern Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's right. It just short of the Texas border, the northern Texas border.
You were there for the remainder of your service,
right,
until 1957. Now, what were your main duties?
Dentistry, just doing dentistry.
So all the personnel, you would do checkups.
Work as an examining officer, or do regular dentistry for the recruits, and for the other people that were coming into the service there. Because Fort Sill was the artillery center, And at that time, they had about 60,000 troops. And I guess we had about 30 dentists on the post. But it was interesting.
What made it interesting?
At Fort Sill, I think it was what do you call it, a club, like a club. Boy, I can remember one time you could go to the officers' club, and it was like living as a civilian.
What you're saying, your experience, there may not have been too much difference between civilian life and what you were experiencing in the military at Fort Sill.
No, it wasn't too much different. I don't think, anyway. But at that time I was married. We were had married after I graduated from dental school.
What year were you married?
54.
54.
The August of 54.
Where did you meet your wife?
Through my sister, probably. I don't remember exactly how.
You were discharged in 1957, and you said you were part of the reserves.
Right.
What did you do after that?
Worked for a year for a friend of mine who had graduated with me, but he had been in the service before, during the war, Second World War. And he had a practice going, and he needed somebody to help out. So I worked there in his office till 58, when I decided I would stay in Lincoln Park and practice there.
How long did you practice in Lincoln Park?
From 58 till 1998, 40 years.
40 years. Let me ask you, I don't know too much about dentistry, except that I'm supposed to brush my teeth and floss and go to the dentist with regular checkups. But let me ask you, as a dentist, in those 40 years that you've practiced, how much has changed with dentistry? Well, and if it's so much has changed, maybe give an example of what's changed.
Well, like for instance, when I graduated, we were doing dentistry with, grinding with the
mortar and pestle.
Almost.
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, and but the year that I opened my office, they came out with the air-driven handpieces, which used to drill, and that was one big change then. But in between times, there have been some other changes, minor changes, maybe not minor, but some changes in dentistry. Now, since I've retired, gosh,
There's even more.
even more. Oh, the young man who bought my practice made 10 times more money than I ever made in 1 year.
Wow.
So, but that's the way it goes. I mean, things have changed tremendously.
What year did you retire again?
1998.
So you've been retired a long time,
Right.
several years.
Yeah.
What have you been doing since 1998?
Just helping the kids out at their homes, doing odd jobs around the houses.
How many children do you have?
5.
Are they all in the area? Or?
No, I got one who lives in Austin, Texas. He and his family live there. And I have one whose husband does very well for international paper. So they've been transferred, I don't know how many times. He started working in Hull. He got transferred to Cleveland. He got transferred to Lakeland, Florida, and he got transferred to Charlotte, North Carolina, and now he's at the Memphis, Tennessee, which is the headquarters for an international paper. So he's doing well with the company, but my wife, or my daughter rather, doesn't particularly like the moves. You know.
Well, it doesn't lend itself to stability, really.
No.
How many grandchildren do you have?
11.
11. I was just about to say you can. I bet you can name them all, right?
You know, more or less.
More or less.
It'd take me a little while to.
Oh, that's
remember
okay.
the names.
If there's one thing you could tell us about your military service or how the service impacted you, what would it be?
I enjoyed it because I got to learn to do a lot of things.
With your profession?
Yeah.
Did you stay in contact with anybody that you met during the service?
Oh, sure. We had one good friend who lived in the same area, housing area, because they gave us, didn't give it to us, but they let us live in the Wary housing units. And this fellow he and his wife lived a couple of blocks away from us in the units. And he was from Columbus, Ohio. He had gone to Western Reserve Unit Dental School. And we stayed in touch. And then there were, maybe 2 or 3 others that we were friends with.
Did you belong to any veterans organizations?
Unfortunately, no. With our moves and our family growing, it seemed like I was busy all the time. I couldn't take the time to go to meetings and whatnot.
How long were you in the reserve?
Till 62. From 50.
So 5 years.
5 years, yeah.
Well, Mr. Nagy, I'd like to thank you for coming in,
Well, thank you.
and thank you for taking the time to be interviewed, and thank you for your service to our country.
Well, thank you for
You're very welcome.